Welcome, everyone, to this week's Pardon the Disruption. We are excited that you are tuning in. Mr. Disruptor, Steve Trang over here.
Post that shit on. That's why y'all got to be careful with
personally
this.
attacked on PTD. Please subscribe to defend my name because I am being assaulted verbally.
Angry RJ Bates III today.
Potter chose violence in the group chat before. I don't understand why.
Mr. Question Mark over there, CJ.
If you want to be Michael Jordan, you want to be legendary, man, come to the U, man.
We have Leon. Do not forget the G Barnes.
I heard that we had rules on this show. Since when? Is that a new show, new year? We have rules now? I'm excited for this.
Leon, you need to read the Dynasty.
I actually have.
You need to read it again and actually try to comment.
Do not listen to RJ. It is not your
Please do not listen to RJ.
All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. We will see you next week. Thank you for joining us here on Pardon the Disruption. What is going on, everyone? Welcome to this week's Pardon the Disruption. The pregame was intense. It was definitely intense. I am your host, Matthew Potter. Glad to be here hosting today on April 4th. It is a very amazing day around here. Real quick, before we get into it, I want to show you our rules and how we get down around here. We're going to have 5 questions: real estate, business, viral video, sports trending. Each panelist gets 60 seconds. Afterwards, 2 minutes to chop it up. Points are awarded during the process based on either argument or favoritism. We'll see how things go today. We are going to go ahead and start with intros with last week's winner. We have Mr. Christopher C.J. Jefferson out of Richmond, VA. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, Chris Jefferson, the U, Richmond, VA. Good to be back, and looking forward to seeing what the questions are today.
Fantastic. Always well prepared over there, CJ. All right, next up, we have Mr. Disruptor himself. We have Steve Trang. Introduce yourself to the people.
What's going on, everybody? Looking forward to today. We're still looking for some quality salespeople. We just had a quarterly meeting, and Brandon McCurdy came in from Sharper, and he said, you need more salespeople. So if you guys are interested in working with us, go to disruptorsjobs.com. I see CJ came in a little lighter today. Right. So it looks like that we got that charged up energy drink ready to go. He's probably massively targeting you all over Facebook and YouTube and anywhere else, probably even Snapchat and Tinder, God knows. Wherever he's targeting you, make sure you put in disruptors for my affiliate code.
Jeez. There we go. All right. Don't forget to check out the U on Tinder. They're an official sponsor now. All right. Next up, coming to us from DFW, we have RJ Bates III. Introduce yourself to the people.
Yeah, I've only been targeted by CJ on Grindr, so I don't know.
Nah.
Hey, does anybody remember when Leon used to have a beard?
That was a great week.
Like when you post something on Instagram and you think it's going to be adorable and everyone's going to love it, but it's just really creepy as shit, and it backfires and everyone cancels you. That's what Leon was with a beard. So just wanted to point that out.
Yeah. Yo. All right. Last, certainly not least, we have Leon. Do not forget the G Barnes. Introduce yourself to the people.
What's up, everyone? First of all, I would not call that a beard. Whatever I was able to grow over months and months of time, there was no way that you could actually call that a beard. Second, I love how we're starting this show off. You got CJ with that humble brag underneath. He's trying to go for the big flex, like that whatever that thing is behind Steve. He's trying to go for the flex with, you know what? I show up. I don't know the questions, but I win. Let's get it on.
I told you guys, you are definitely in for a show today. We're going to go ahead and get into it with question number 1. According to a February report from Realtor.com, renting is now cheaper than owning in all of America's 50 largest metro areas. What are your thoughts on this as an investor and for the average American? Go ahead and start us off, CJ.
Yeah, I think it increases opportunities for buy and hold investors, right? I mean, ultimately, you know, the new generation, right? Nobody wants to buy a house anymore, and it looks like their grandmother's house. Everybody wants nice looking house. They want stainless steel. They want granite countertops. They want to be able to bring, you know, a friend over, right? Let them see the vibes. Let them see the ambiance. And they want it to feel like they've got some money. Everybody wants to feel like they're doing better than they're really doing. And so I think you're going to see more emergence of rental opportunities out here. If you look around a lot of markets right now, there's not a ton of like rental opportunities where it's like high grade, high quality, housing. I think we're going to definitely start to see more of that. And I think there should be some concern on the buy side of the market when it comes to new construction.
There we go. Valid points from Mr. Richmond himself. All right, Steve, what are your thoughts on this one?
I think it's going to put downward pressure on pricing. The way we've always looked at it is when you're working with someone that's looking to potentially buy, we always look at buy versus rent, right? We had a buy versus rent calculator. And so they're saying like, wow, like for 100 more, 200 more, I'd rather own the property and I can at least partake in the appreciation and then the mortgage interest deduction, right? It made sense. At this point, if you're rent versus buy, it's really hard to make that math work for you, right? So I think it's going to put some downward pressure. It's going to reduce the buyer demand. I think the biggest thing you got to make sure, though, as a person that's looking to buy a home, is don't get so focused on the monthly payments. I would look at still long-term buying a home is still forced savings, and you still have that long-term appreciation. The people that we buy houses from, this is like their wealth. Like this is like everything they've got. So they paid the property off, and now they have this massive asset that either we bought it or they passed it off to their family. We see a lot of wealth created through home ownership. So I think don't take your eye off the ball there. But as an investor, it gives me a little cause for concern. I think there's gonna be downward pressure on pricing if that's the case.
There we go, downward pressure. All right, RJ, what are your thoughts?
I think when I see this and it says the 50 biggest metro areas, 50 is a lot. And I have to question the math behind this, because as someone that does real estate all across the country, I mean, there are plenty of buy and hold areas where you're able to purchase properties and it's still cash flow, because essentially what it's saying is that the mortgage payment is more than what the rent demand would be. They have to be accounting for some of the higher end houses in these areas that's pushing these numbers up. So I kind of disagree with that. If the math is correct, assuming that realtor.com is not just doing this for clickbait, then there's obviously concern there from the investor standpoint, because we're getting to a point where the rent rates are not keeping up with the appreciation that we've forced over the past 10 to 12 years. And like Steve said, at some point in time, that's going to push the prices back down, which I think is going to be a welcome sight for a majority of us. But for those that are newer getting in the game, there's going to be an awkward period of time where it's going to be hard for you to generate revenue. And that's where newer investors could struggle when those prices start dropping.
There we go. Another vote for downward pressure. All right, RJ. All right, Leon, what are your thoughts on this one?
All good answers by the panelists before me. And I came through with this, I was coming into this with this well thought out answer. And then I thought about, since we've been doing this show, we could argue either side of almost any question that we've been asked since we started this show. Like, it was 2 years ago, we were talking about the opposite, right? And like everything in time, this too shall pass. We have a habit in this country of overreacting, especially from a government standpoint, is, all right, rents are too high, let's push this up to push this down. And we've talked about that several times. There's only a couple levers that the government has for that. But I think in due time, this too shall pass. It's only been a 2-year window here where we were just arguing the exact opposite of today's question.
I think on that point, Leon, though, it's not so much about the overreaction. It's the society that we live in, where every medium is fighting for attention. And that's why I'm saying, is this title clickbait, or is it truly that in the 50 largest metro areas in the United States that it's more affordable to rent? I don't think that that's possible.
I'm going to stand up for CJ here, right? As a person that's owned a brokerage, I think CJ is offended that you would question the honor of the Association of Realtors. I think he's upset. I'm going to speak for RJ here. But I will accept your apology for him.
No, I appreciate that. This is easy to look at, though, right? You can look at multiple major metro areas. You can go on Zillow, look at properties that are for rent. You can see a house that's rented, right? Maybe somebody bought that house 6, 7, 8 years ago. All right. And they've got a really fair mortgage on it and they don't mind renting it out for a reasonable rate, right? Or whatever market rate even may be. And you can see that might be a $600,000-$700,000 house now. Maybe they bought it for $450,000, right? And you can see in multiple metro markets right now where that house now costs $600,000-$700,000, and the mortgage equivalent to that is more than what it would cost to rent it.
Yeah, I mean, you look at RJ. If you look at the median prices, right? Not necessarily the lower end pricing, but like the median prices, and you look at the interest rates. Interest rates are at 7, right? Like it's pretty substantial to go from 3% interest rate to a 7% interest rate, and I think that the hedge funds went hog wild and bought anything they can get their hands on because they were projecting rent to go up. But I mean, Potter, was it about like this time last year, or was it earlier than that, where they said, "Hey, we no longer feel good about rents"? When was that?
June of 22 was when they first did it, and then they were pretty well off the cycle of purchasing by probably about December of that year, unless it was 20% below.
But when did you start hearing that they were projecting rents to go down?
It was actually March of 22 is when they started saying, "Hey, rents are going to go down."
Yeah, remember 2 years ago when interest rates went up, we had this, again, this is the discussion that we had at that given time. At some point, they had to come down. Why? Because they couldn't continue to go up, right? Especially with interest rate changes in March of 22.
Yeah.
Correct. There you go. That was that was a good round right there. I appreciate that round. There was intelligent banter back and forth between our panelists there. All right, we're gonna get into.
RJ apologized. It was great.
I don't know about that, but okay. Question number 2: business. With tax day coming up, how do you prepare for tax season? Go ahead and start us off, Steve.
Prepare? Like,
yo,
like. It's an event that just occurs. Like, we have Summer. She handles our finances. Like, our books are kept at any moment. Anyone needs to look at our P&L, our balance sheets. Like, it's there. So there's really not a lot of preparation. It took a long time to get here, right? Like being in business all this time. But we just had Sharper Business come through, and we went through our assessment. And the one area that we could speak confidently was like, "Hey, if we needed to pull your finances right now, could we see clean finances?" Like, yes, because we look at that all the time. So there's not really much preparation to do because it's already done at all times.
There you go. All right, RJ, what about you? How are you preparing for your favorite business partner, Uncle Sam over there?
Yeah. Like Steve said, this is a year round. It's not tax season. Tax season is year round. And as anybody that's ever had the unfortunate experience as an entrepreneur of not preparing for taxes and then realizing that they didn't make near as much money as they thought because they had to ship the majority of what was left to Uncle Sam, you start making preparations for this. In fact, this morning I had a meeting and had a conversation about things that we were going to start doing to defer taxes and preparation for 2025. So whatever's coming up, in the next 11 days, that's already been prepared for. It's something that's front of mind, and decisions that we make throughout this year are based around that tax burden in 2025. So if you're just now thinking about tax season, you missed the boat. Here's your bill.
There you go. All right. Leon, what about you? What are you doing for the tax man?
These are very mature business owners that gave you those 2 responses, right? And it's the first time I've ever called RJ or Steve mature, so you're welcome. I think this is the correct answer is what they gave you. It's consistent meetings, conversation, and open communication with your financial advisor, your CPA. As you grow your business, that relationship is the most important in your business. I think it's also something that most young investors really struggle with, especially those that are wholesaling, because that is a cash-rich business if you're doing it well. and most don't have anything to offset those gains. So it's very important that if you've been in this business for just a year, 2 years, 3 years, and you're starting to see an uptick, a great CPA that understands real estate investing, that's the crucial piece of this. Developing that relationship and having communication and quarterly meetings with that individual will keep you from having any surprises when it comes to tax season.
There you go. Another vote for preparation. All right, CJ, what about you? What are your thoughts with Uncle Sam here?
Yeah, I mean, the same that's already been said. Just to add on to what Leon was saying, I would definitely say to have a good bookkeeper. My bookkeeper is my CPA. Sometimes people kind of mix up the two. When they hear CPA, they often maybe think that's a bookkeeper, even though it can be. I think everybody should prioritize getting a bookkeeper, having somebody that's got their information up to date, at all times. My preparation for tax season is nothing. All I got to do is go to a Friday meeting and make sure I'm told I'm not broke, and sign off on what I need to sign off on. I've made my quarterly payments. Shout out to the IRS too, by the way. We always didn't get along. There were times we didn't. Yeah, no, there was times we didn't, see eye to eye. All right. We weren't always how we are now. Sometimes you got to work on the relationship. So shout out to the IRS. All right. I love you. All right. I appreciate everything that you do for this country, unlike RJ, Steve, and Leon. All right. I appreciate, and I definitely don't mind paying my taxes.
I try not to say those 3 letters together while being recorded, so I'm gonna stay away from that.
I'm on Twitter right now, and I saw the tweet from the IRS that says "Shout out to Chris Jefferson."
Let's go,
Right
man. Let's go, man. Let's go.
If anyone ever wants to know why I don't like Chris Jefferson, it's because he likes the IRS, he likes NAR, and he votes for Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Those are my 3 reasons.
You guys are like the opposite of doppelgangers. You're like the 2 complete opposite sides of the spectrum.
I think one of the things too, I heard this at some point. I don't know when I'll get to this point, but wealthy people get audited every year, and they look forward to it because that's how they keep their tax people accountable. So
yeah, I'm not looking for it. I don't even know if I want that kind of wealth, actually.
I don't know if I want that kind of pressure.
How are you gonna get your own island, CJ?
I've legitimately never been in a wealthy room there because I've never had someone say I get audited every year and I can't wait.
Yes.
Everybody I know that's ever gotten an audit, they didn't look the same when it was over.
All right. So
what happens when you're in that room is you end up and you're like, how did I end up in this room with Diddy?
Shout out to Ryan. Pineda just got audited. Saw that on his Instagram reels. CJ didn't mean it. You still look the same. It's just the fact that you changed your hair from pink to purple.
Yeah. When Diddy's asking if you want to go party, just be careful.
Say no. One additional thing to add to CJ's point of bookkeeper, that's great advice. I would also say as you continue to grow, you may not be at a point where you're ready to bring on a full-time CFO, but a fractional CFO, especially as you get into years 3, 4, and 5 and beyond, is worth every penny because then it becomes less about just making sure the numbers are good. It's also about strategic financial decisions and a lot of advice.
There we go. We worked in a CFO. Diddy made it into the show today.
Never had been together before.
Nope.
CFO and Diddy.
You don't want your CFO and Diddy together either. It's just not a good look. All right. Question number 3 is our viral video of the week. Check it out.
You're getting arrested right now?
Being arrested.
For what?
For being in my own house.
By salespeople, not at Central Houston Nissan. Come to Central Houston Nissan where we have car washes for life.
What are your thoughts on this type of marketing? Start us off, RJ. RJ is excited for this one.
Dude, I love it. I think it's awesome. The water splash. I mean, dude, he was so excited to record that one. Listen, I gave this answer last week. I said, what's the most underrated skill for a newer entrepreneur? And I said, creativity. Creativity with your marketing, your lead gen. Go out there, make yourself stand out from your competition. That's what he's doing. I guarantee you, everyone in his local market has seen those commercials, knows what it is that he's selling. And if they're in the market to buy a new car, they're thinking about going there because he made himself stand out. And that's all marketing is. I'm sure CJ has some things to say about that marketing side.
Hey, let's not skip Leon. Well, we'll get to CJ to rebuttal you. Give it a second. All right, Leon, what are your thoughts on that marketing right there?
I think it's super creative and is speaking exactly to the type of person that they want to come through the doors of that Nissan dealership. I don't think these would probably be the same spots as if it were a Mercedes dealership, but I think it's his ideal customer he is attracting using creativity and social media, which is where his ideal client is. I think it's genius.
There you go. Boom. All right, CJ, Mr. Marketer, what you got for us on this one?
You're muted.
You're
You
muted,
muted,
bro.
bro.
Nah, I don't think this is genius at all. Here's why. I think there was a time that it was, but you guys may not know this, and that's okay. But a couple of years ago, I went to hire new sales reps, right? And so I went to look at I tried to find every top rep at like every top dealership within like a 20-mile radius. Here's what I actually found out. There's a guy at every dealership, just like this guy, that makes these types of videos or like quirky, kind of corny kind of videos. I think it's great for car salesmen, really, right? And that side of work. Look, if I had to look at RJ get, splashed, right, from somebody, all right, to sell a course, I don't know that makes me click. I don't know that makes me stop in my tracks and say, I want to learn from this guy that just got somebody splashing water all over him in a viral video. I don't know.
I don't think anybody wants to watch RJ get splashed in a viral video like that. I don't know. Maybe it's his next TikTok or reel. I don't know. Let's do it. All right, Steve, what are your thoughts on this?
I 100% want to see that. So let's not crap all over that idea. I think that one of the principles you learn in marketing is there's the message to market to medium, right? Like, what's the message? Who is it for? And how are you going to deliver that message to them? So I think the creativity. I think the creativity is good. I think the message is fine. I'm not sure he's targeting the right avatar. And what I mean by that is new car versus a used car. Right? I think this message will work great if you're selling a used car. I'm not so sure if I'm in the market for a brand new Nissan that this is the one that's going to get me to go in the door. So I think if I was in the market for a used car, like we have out here, Cactus Jacks and some of these other, places you go to when you're kind of out of options.
Right.
I think there's a great message, but I think for if I'm looking to buy a brand new Nissan, just kind of like Leon was saying with Mercedes or a Lexus, I'm not sure this is the right way to reach that audience.
You know why it is? Because we're talking about it. And that's all he wanted from this marketing is
Are you going to buy a Nissan?
I would never buy a Nissan.
Our friend.
But
Steve, this reminds me of the video you sent me earlier today. It gives you know what I'm talking about, right? It gives me that kind of energy. So the analogy the guy used in the video, right, is like, you could take 1,000 flyers and throw them in passing cars and hit 1,000 people, and sure, somebody's going to catch one of them and say, I want to get my car washed today, right? But how effective is it really overall?
Two things. You said it earlier, though, CJ. This is for a car dealership. So it's not necessarily for us for this specific type of vehicle, right? And so if it were for something else, I probably wouldn't have said it's genius and creative. For what he's trying to accomplish and who he's trying to get through the door, I think it's smart. Steve, you're assuming that a new car dealership wouldn't have incentives, that their new cars may be cheaper than a used car. You're assuming that. And there's lots of incentives on new cars today, just as much as there is, on, affordable used cars, because there was a time there where cars in general, like houses, there was a shortage of. So clearly he's done 2 of them. So the first one must have worked.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I would say, just to counteract what CJ was saying earlier, CJ is saying this has been around for a while. So clearly he's done something where he stands out. So he's doing something right. So even if it's not creative, he is executing it better than other people that we're not seeing trending. So there's that. But I don't know if you saw that. If you see the videos going viral, will lead directly to sales. And this is, we talked about this. Amanda Dean, right, with Sharper, she also coaches us. And she's mentioned, like, we feel good with Facebook leads because we get a ton of them, right? But then you look back later on, well, how many sales did we get from Facebook versus these other mediums? Like, Facebook feels good because we got all these leads, but our largest margins came from direct mail.
Here's proof that this is good marketing, okay? Take it away from this and bring it into our world where we know. Jamil Damji, he painted himself as a blue genie, okay? And we all know Jamil doesn't know nearly as much about real estate as any of us on this panel. I mean, he says he does a lot of deals, but he hasn't done nearly as many deals as Steve Trang, okay? But he sold a shit ton of astro flipping, all because he painted himself as a blue genie. I personally think I want to see a split test of CJ's marketing, whatever boring ass static image he has right now on his Facebook ads, and then another one of CJ painted as a blue genie, and see which one performs better. Will you do that, CJ?
CJ is a genie.
I love these conversations, man, because the irony of somebody referencing an ad that hasn't been ran in 2 years, right? And then, I mean, come on. I mean, this ad hasn't literally been ran in 2 years. Obviously, if it was that effective still, then it would still be getting run, right? So obviously, it wasn't a long-term effective ad. Guys, I don't know why we're acting like we don't understand what's going on here. There was a show on A&E. What was it called? King of Cars or something like that, right? The guy out in Vegas where they did all this crazy stuff to sell cars. Shout out to A&E, by the way. No. Right? All these people. There's dealerships. Shout out to A&E. There's dealerships in every city, right? Every city. All right. Every single city has a dealership. Like down the street, they got the guy in the dog suit that dances around. Like there's all these auto dealerships. Steve hit it on the head that target people, right, through marketing that, can't go get a decent auto loan or whatever the case might be at a regular, maybe standard dealership. They go to these types of spots and use this type of marketing. It's the same reason that RJ does his taxes and bookkeeping at Liberty Tax Service or whatever.
Yeah,
because they got the person in the Statue of Liberty dancing at the light. RJ's on the way to the wood panel place, and he says to himself, "Oh man, I gotta get my taxes done. Let me go to Liberty Tax."
Hey, I can't.
Shout out to Liberty Tax.
I can't believe CJ didn't pick up on. RJ just gave you, a new catchphrase slogan. He gave you static, your electricity.
No, I like it. I like
little
it.
Static electricity with the U. He might have just coined something there for you.
No, that's an informed catch. This is how I know how out of touch RJ is. But I haven't ran a static image ad in over a year and a half because they don't work. All right, they're too expensive. That's a free marketing tip. All right.
I appreciate you bringing up A&E, bro.
I would like to whoever is CJ's manager. I would just like to point out that I think CJ is targeting his marketing with discriminatory practices because I've still never seen his ad. Just gonna throw that out there.
Nah, man, your income is too high for my product, man.
So that static image I saw on Grindr of you wasn't an ad?
Nah, that's
on Grindr.
Nah, that's that guy that's been hating on me on every YouTube video I made.
I'm starting to worry about RJ. That's why
I'm with you, Leon.
Leon,
I'm with you.
It's 2024. Let the man be. It's 2024. Let the man be.
You can get away with one Grindr reference. You can't do two in one show and not have us a suspect of you.
We're concerned. We're concerned. All right. That was amazing. All right. So there's your marketing tips for today. All right. Before we get into question number 4, word from our sponsor, Pat Hilton at Acoustic Force Media.
The world is changing. So is the world of business. It's never been easier to get your message out to the entire planet. Let me help you crack the code today. My name is Pat Hilton. My social media agency can produce you the same custom digital content that landed me on stage at the biggest business events in the world. I've rocked the roof off with the best digital marketers in the game. Getting social media content filmed and produced for your business is now as easy as ordering a cup of coffee and hopping on a video call with your friend. We find trending topics in your niche, coach you through recording in the comfort of your home or office, create engaging clips and graphics, then upload them online and manage all your social media pages. Bring your brand to life. Contact Acoustic Force Media today.
Thank you again to Pat for all that you do, particularly making my man RJ Bates look presentable over there. We certainly do appreciate that. All right, we're going to get into question number 4. Speaking of 4, with the Final Four concluding this Monday, who do you think will win in both the men's and women's final championship game? Start us off, RJ.
Women's, I'm going to go with Iowa because I think Caitlin Clark is the greatest of all time. Super entertaining. And I'm sticking with it because I've since PTD has been in existence, I've always said players are more important than the system. So I hope her talent comes out and beats South Carolina. And then on the men's side, I think it's pretty obvious what's going to happen there. UConn looks unstoppable. But I'm one of 2 people inside of Titanium's office that can still win the men's bracket, and I need UConn to lose. So I'm going to pull for NC State to pull the massive upset there, even though I don't think it's going to happen.
There we go. RJ with some wishful thinking over here. All right. What about you, Leon? What are your thoughts? Men's and women's, who you got?
I'll start with the men. Like RJ said, UConn looks unbeatable. 9 straight tournament victories by double digits. The last time that I've seen that type of dominance back-to-back tournaments was this team called the Running Rebels back in the 90s, UNLV, that had Larry Johnson and was just unstoppable until they ran into another Hurley, Bobby Hurley instead of Dan Hurley. But that all said, I do see UConn taking it all, but that's why they play the games. So I've got UConn on the men's side, and then on the women's side, it's what RJ said. I really hope that Caitlin can get a natty. I really would like to see her win one. She's got that Tiger Woods effect. She has taken me to women's basketball, just like I went to golf in the 90s because of Tiger. I've watched more women's college basketball the last 2 years because of her, and I'm thankful that she has pulled me over to the game because there's a lot more stars than just her. But that all said, I've got the best team in the nation, undefeated back-to-back years going into the Final Four. I've got South Carolina and Dawn Staley getting her 3rd natty since being the coach at South Carolina.
Given the point for South Carolina, because it's probably what it's going to be, but I think we are probably all in agreement, would love to see Caitlin Clark pull this one off with Iowa. All right, what are your thoughts, CJ? Who you got?
On the women, as a South Carolina native, I'm 100% going South Carolina. I'd love to see them get a chip. Look, this girl, Caitlin Clark, though, I mean, damn. I mean, this girl's a baller, man. What she's done for this sport in the last couple of years, really the last 24 months, is just astronomical growth. I think women's basketball will forever be different as a result of her playing. And I think that's really cool. I think a lot of, girls right now, a lot of young girls are watching this, seeing her play. I think it's going to inspire better basketball and women's sports. And I think that's dope. As far as the men, look, I really like North Carolina State. I like DJs. I like the energy. I like the vibes. But that 7'6" kid, I don't even know where they got him from. All right. But wherever he came from, they're not stopping him. All right. It's just not going to happen. This kid's dominant. All right, he's killing it right now. So I got them over North Carolina State. I really like Alabama's team. I like how they play. I think they got a lot of heart, a lot of hustle. I'd love to see them get a chip, but UConn is playing like they're playing like NBA ball against like a varsity high school team is what it looks like every time we watch them play right now. I don't know that anybody can beat UConn, and I don't even know that it'll be close on Monday night. So we'll see.
There you go. All right, Steve. What are your thoughts? Who you got, men's and women's?
I've only watched one men's game this year, and I turned it on, and it was 23-23. Like, that's when I turned it on. Like, Illinois had just tied it 23-23. So, okay, this looks like it's going to be a good game. 30-0 run. First time I watched college men's game all year. 30-0 run. That's a pretty unstoppable team. I can't remember ever seeing a 30-0 run. I mean, I think that's such a massive statement that Illinois was in all sorts of just panic. They were making passes that were just the worst passes I've ever seen. It looks like Kevin Durant, like just these stupid passes for no reason. And then on the women's side, I hope it's Caitlin Clark. I do. But they barely beat an LSU team that decided not to play defense. They decided not to guard her for whatever reason. So South Carolina's been undefeated all year. They're probably going to win. I hope it's Caitlin Clark, but
They led the entire game. How is that they barely won?
There it is.
if they would have just tried
Go
guarding
back
her
to not
once,
watching sports, bro. You're so
if
much
they would have
better than
tried
you don't know anything.
guarding her a little bit, right? They won by 7.
Nah. Hold on. You talking about Caitlin Clark?
Bruh.
Yeah.
Nah, dude. They're playing great defense on Caitlin Clark.
Not
She's
that
hitting this
game.
little left. Nah, dude, she's hitting this little left to this, like, step to the left.
Yep.
Move every time. And she's not shooting wide open shots. I mean,
You know
these are
what just happened?
contested shots.
This is what happened. Steve watched greatness, and she made it look so easy. It's like when he watches me close deals. He's like, "You're just order taking," and it's like, "No,
They
bro."
had the shortest person on the team guarding her. She's 6 inches taller. Like, Leon, you've got what? You're 6'2"?
4, but who's counting?
All right. 6'4". 6'4". I'm 5'10", right? I'm 5'9", 5'10". He's got an incredible advantage. How many times have I blocked your jumper, Leon?
None.
None, right? I'm making you work, but you can shoot right over. It's like Durant over any small forward guarding him.
All right.
So they weren't going to stop her that night, but I will say from a coaching perspective, the one thing I would like to have seen is she went for 40. The one thing I would have liked to seen is one time double teaming her to make her pass the ball.
Once.
She was going to get her points. There's no doubt about it, but I didn't see them double team her once.
The game before,
They didn't expect her to drop 40, though.
What's that?
They weren't expecting her to put up 40.
I mean, she's the best player in women's basketball. I would expect that she's going to get hers for sure. You got to give her some different looks, and they never really gave her. They were up defending her well with one, but I would have doubled her at least.
You got to adjust.
No, I agree, but they were playing to let her get her buckets and beat everybody else. They just weren't able to do that.
If I'm in the Final Four right now and I'm coaching against her, she's going to get her points. There's no doubt about that. But I want her teammates to beat me. If I'm going to lose to Iowa, it's because her teammates have gotten her over the top, not her.
Just watch what Don does, man. Check it out.
all I'm saying is the game before they did double team her and she dropped 15 assists and still got like 25, 30 points.
I can live with that.
If you lose, because she passed a lot. If you lose because she got 18 assists, I'll live with that.
Yeah,
I'll live.
No,
with
they
that.
wanted to lose. They wanted to lose because they wanted to win rather because she dropped 20 instead of 40. That's what they were hoping would happen.
Here's what I want to just point out real quick to Leon. Shout out to University of Florida, back-to-back champs, 06, 07. Okay, I know you forgot about them. Going all the way back to your teen years in 1990 with UNLV. Also,
I said the last time I saw the dominance, not back-to-back, dominance.
Steve, when I asked Leon what his greatest achievement in life was on between two belts, He said it was making you respect him for his basketball skills. He is literally that proud of beating you with a 6-inch advantage.
Who's got the higher vertical, man?
I saw Leon this last time we played was the first time. I think Leon, when we first started playing, he had some cobwebs. He was jumping the last time we played. I was kind of surprised to see how much air he got, because typically when you play with, people that don't play all the time, you're always worried about getting hurt. You don't jump as high. Leon was skying. It was weird. I didn't know what to expect.
He's been doing that Cancun stem cell treatment.
Leon gets more than 4 inches off the ground. One of those ankles is snapping.
I live in Florida. Hey, CJ, I live in Florida. We can get it whatever we want down here.
Yeah, that's real, man. That's real.
Oh, man. Don't forget to use G Barnes as your affiliate code when you're down in Florida. All right, we're going to get into our last question of the day. We have this week, Taiwan and Japan are on tsunami alerts as water levels have been rapidly falling and officials are warning of a potential tsunami. How should an investor be prepared for a natural disaster in terms of safety and protecting their investments? Start us off, Leon.
Well, every region is different. And so the best advice that I can give is making sure that you are always prepared from an insurance standpoint. Like, I don't live in the Midwest anymore, but I can tell you that tornadoes are a real thing. And for my rental properties, we make sure that every single year we are evaluating our insurance policies to make sure if disaster does happen. I can't control that. What I can control is to make sure that the asset is protected through the insurance policies that we have that are going to best allow us to continue to keep that a true asset. When it comes to, living here now in Florida, you've got hurricanes. When I lived in the north, you had snow drifts, flooding, what have you. I think the best advice I could give is just make sure that you're current and up to date and have the best policies to offset any of these natural disasters that may come your way.
There you go. That's the smart, well thought out answer for everybody watching right there. All right, CJ, what are your thoughts on this, man?
Yeah, I think it's tough ultimately, right? I mean, if you're doing deals, doing business, buying property, and we see what's happening in Florida right now, and how they're making adjustments and changes due to insurance, and how that's creating difficulty. I mean, regardless of where you get property at, for the most part, maybe your risk would be lower. You're going to deal with, some portion of natural disaster. Like Leon said, you got to make sure you're insured and have what you need there. But you also got to make sure that you properly prep your property, right? You got to stay on top of what's happening, what's forecasted to happen, and you got to make sure you take preventative measures to protect your property because, while some people may think, I guess, I hear people sometimes like, I could just get the insurance check. Dealing with that's a hassle. It doesn't do anything but slowing you up from getting the market or doing what you're really intending to do with the property. So definitely make sure you got really good insurance agent and you talk, quarterly about what you're doing with your policies.
There you go. All right, Steve, what about you? What are your thoughts on preparing for a disaster?
So I think the simple answer is getting insurance, right? But there's some additional things that I've learned along the ways that we've seen other people kind of get screwed. One is you want to make sure that if the property is vacant, that it's still counted. You're still covered. There's some insurance policies that will deny the claim if it's been vacant for more than 30 days, right? So you want to make sure that your insurance is covering you for that. You also want to make sure you're looking at the riders that covers flood insurance, because I've seen plenty of people have their flood claim get denied because you didn't pay for the upgrade, right? So now I'm saying this as a person who's not doing a good job with this, right? So I've seen other people get screwed. If you're trying to protect the best you can, you're really going to go all the way. Hire an insurance adjuster just to look at your policies, because they're the best at figuring out what is covered, not covered, how to argue with the insurance companies, where they're going to find the loopholes. For ourselves, for workers' comp, right? There's not a lot of things that I do detailed, right? But we go through workers' comp and when they ask these questions, we're not going to fudge the answers in any way because they will look for any reason to deny your claims. The joke I've made in the past is insurance companies have two departments, one to sell insurance, the other to deny claims. And I think that's, you got to make sure you protect yourself to avoid having your claims denied.
There you go. And I love that you dropped that nugget of the 30-day vacancy. That's a big one that not a lot of people know about. I almost got caught up on that. I was lucky. I was at day 28. So just barely got in there. All right, RJ, what are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I'll agree with everybody's opinion here. I'll add in, we had to learn a couple of tough lessons. Understanding the actual natural disasters that can happen in certain locations if you decide to start buying in locations you're not familiar with. For example, we bought a property in Anchorage. Well, we bought a lot of properties in Anchorage, Alaska. One of which was significantly damaged when a 9.5 earthquake hit. And it caused a ton of damages to the drywall, the flooring, and some plumbing. And that was not covered. It would have been covered anywhere else in the United States, but because earthquakes are common in Alaska, you have to request additional coverage for earthquake coverage. And I didn't have that because I didn't think earthquakes are that common in Alaska. Same thing with volcanoes in Hawaii. We ran into that circumstance where the volcano erupted. And it was actually running towards one of our properties. Now, we got lucky to miss that, but it would not have been covered. And then also additional things like if you have ADUs, making sure that those are covered. I had one of those in Hawaii that got wiped out from a tree that fell, and it wasn't covered. And we essentially lost an entire dwelling that was bringing in rental income and led to part of the demise of that project. So just a lot to think about when you take on assets and the coverage. Make sure that you're aware of what natural disasters can happen and that you're covered.
It's all great advice. What RJ just gave you, that regional, that's the biggest thing, especially if you're holding properties in multiple states. Wildfires out west. I mean, there's so many different things that you have to prepare for. And if you don't live in those areas, you don't necessarily know. To add to what CJ said, one additional thing, I often buy rental properties from people that have held properties for a very, very long time and have continued to defer maintenance. I think every single year you should be looking at maintenance of your properties because they are no longer assets if you don't continue to keep them as such. Who do we usually buy most of our properties from? Not all, but the most have issues. They're not perfect. Obviously, they need repairs. If you don't make repairs, and we know how Mother Nature is, over time, it continues to break down those assets. So take that seriously. Make sure that you're evaluating your properties, doing drive-bys, not just waiting for tenants to leave. Look out outside. Just in general, outside maintenance will take you a long way when it comes to any type of natural disaster.
Leon, on that point, I just did a closer reaction video to Elijah Rubin. And in that, it was a fire damaged property that the seller was selling him, but it was a small quadplex. And the claim was being investigated because one of the tenants in the quadplex was a registered sex offender. And because of that led to the insurance company opening up an investigation on whether or not there was arson done on the property. And that ended up leading to the man needing to sell the property because he was so behind on, he wasn't getting his rental. He couldn't afford it anymore. So there's so many little tiny details, and not even just on the maintenance side, but also making sure we talked about safety in this question, making sure you're having the right people come into your property and live there. I never even thought that could potentially hinder an insurance claim on who you were renting to. That's the first time I've ever heard that.
So I'll tell you real quick, one big one that I see a lot of, especially in states where you have basements. This is an easy one. It's a really cheap one. It goes a long way every single year. If you own properties where they have basements, all you have to do is make sure that every year you're evaluating the gutter, the drainage, and are those gutters cleaned out. I have bought a ton of properties from water damage over the years that the foundations were wrecked and the repairs were going to be in the $15,000 to $30,000 range for most homeowners to fix. And all they had to do on an annual basis is just make sure that those gutters were cleaned out and the drainage was draining away from the foundation of the asset. That's a really simple one. If you own assets in a place where you have basements, just do that one and it'll save you thousands.
Yeah, one big thing too that I don't think has been said, but to what RJ brought up about that call with Elijah, please, if you have an insurance issue on a property, find a public adjuster in your area and get them involved in the situation and let them take care of it. The adjuster sent from the insurance company has no interest whatsoever in helping you out in any way. All right, they're looking to get you the least amount of money possible, which is why they're calling their buddy with the construction company and telling you that's the preferred contractor for you to go use. So get a public adjuster, please.
Yeah, and so going back to what we were saying earlier, they're getting denied because there was a sex offender in the property. They have two departments: one to deny claims, and one to sell insurance. And I'm really disappointed that RJ didn't get upsold on earthquake insurance.
Yeah, me too.
Like, he should have upsold you on earthquake insurance. That's an easy sell. All he had to say is like, well, Mr. Bates, earthquakes happen here all the time. And if you don't have this, you're not going to be covered.
But Steve, you know the deal, right? Salespeople will sell the product they get commissioned on the most. And earthquake insurance, believe it or not, is not a big, huge upsell. So therefore, there's not enough commission on it for them to upsell it.
I'm pretty sure they're told not to upsell it so they can deny every single one of those earthquake claims that come in.
No, they need to sell it and then deny it. That's the business model.
Oh, okay.
Right. That's the model. And then
I do gotta. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, that the tsunami though is not the insurance Taiwan and Japan needs. The insurance they need is some sort of umbrella insurance against an invasion from China. I think that's the insurance they should look into.
Good luck on that one.
No, I was just gonna say, I think buying property in Alaska is like the most RJ thing I've ever heard. What? Are you from there or something, bro?
50 states. He's the 50 states guy.
This is a long time ago. This is a long time ago, right?
Yeah, the 18, 19. I just sold my last property there last year.
What were you doing in Atlanta? Were you hunting elk and stuff? What were you doing?
Nah, bro, we were flipping and the rental market's really good out there.
You've seen that beard. He was on Gold Rush, that show. He went out to find gold in Alaska.
He's doing something out there, man.
After he's getting the crabs. After he's got the Alaskan king crabs, then he's going back to do the Gold Rush thing, and then he's got his properties.
Did you say crabs?
Out in Alaska catching crabs, man. Oh. That's a very RJ thing for sure, man.
Yeah, I was about to be like, did you go to the Alaskan Bush Company?
Jeez. I was gonna say you don't got to go to Alaska to catch crabs, guys. All right, great show today. Let me go ahead and look at my board. I got Leon G. Barnes back in the winner's circle with the elusive just dropped 30 on him. Caitlin Clark-esque.
There's 30 bomb for you. Take that, fellas.
Dude, I like it. All right, we've had an amazing show today. We appreciate everybody tuning in. Leon, go ahead and say bye to the people.
I think that's the first time I've gone for 30. I've been capable of it this entire time, but Matt, you've been holding me back. So just know that there's a possibility for 40 in the future. Great show as always. Good seeing you guys.
Better watch out. He's going to drop 40 and 12 assists. There we go. All right, CJ, say bye to the people.
Bye to the people. All right, great episode. Leon dropping 30. I'd say that's impressive, but it's not. Congrats to Leon.
Respectfully.
Respectfully. Respectfully. Should have been 40, bro. Should have been 40.
Thank you.
But no, good, good win. Good to see you guys. RJ, good to see you. Potter, good to see you. Leon, good to see you. Light skin Steve. I didn't get to tell you happy birthday today. All right. But all right. Light skin Steve, it's always good to see you as well. Man.
There you go. We love when CJ comes with that charged up you energy right there. We like it. We like it. All right, Steve, say bye to the people.
Yeah, I mean, Leon only got 30. He had 5'6" Matt Potter on him. He only got 30.
Okay.
I don't know what to say. So you can't take any points. I already lost. So anyway, good times. CJ makes a great point. That is the most RJ thing I've ever heard of. He's just flipping houses in Alaska. Congratulations, Leon, on the big win. I'm happy you got one. Wow. Yeah, charged up energy drinks, but in disruptors where they feel like good.
Nah, I'm sorry, man.
Yo,
flipping house. Texas is so big, and you're in flipping houses in Alaska.
Snarky Steve has shown up and said goodbye. All right, next up, RJ, say bye to the people.
Bye to the people. You know the vibes. Organic content every single day, all day.
Static electricity, baby.
This is today's organic video. Steve, stop being cheap. Leon,
Yeah.
make sure you don't ever grow a beard again, bro. You're looking better. No Diddy, but you're looking better.
No Diddy.
I didn't know Potter was 5'6".
Bro,
No wonder you never vote for me, bro.
Nah, dude, 5'6" is diabolical, man. That's diabolical.
Bro,
5'6" is crazy,
no
bro.
wonder he went into the profession of short sells.
Watch out. Hello. Put that little fella in our pocket.
okay. I'm gonna dunk on all y'all. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in this week. We had a blast. We appreciate it. We will see you guys later. Have a good one.